Hi, this is Dr. Mike Yuen. Welcome to my February 28th, 2022 update. Secret number 4 on the Yang style pushing hands. Before I begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the latest information. Secret number 4 could very well be the most challenging of the 5 secrets that make up this pushing hand series. One reason being that we want to explore in depth the method itself that gives the Yang pushing hands such access to the root that is behind the remarkable repelling power. In another way, it's challenging because the method was something that was trained by young people and changed as they grew through the years into old age. I'm not only speaking of the zhan, the standing meditation, but I'm speaking of how the power was traded between the coach and the student in the pushing hand. So we're going to be looking at both of these. Let's start with the zhan. When I met Grandmaster Yang in 1981, he modeled the zhan for me at the end. I shared that in previous episodes. As that extraordinary 90-minute session came to an end, he stood in the zhan posture and advised that I take what he had given me and let it grow from my heart. Now, the height of Grandmaster Yang's stance was what we would consider to be normal, what you see pretty much as a standard online and in most people's practice. But it's important that his modeling at that time, at the age of 70, isn't naively taken as the only way that the zhan could be practiced. In fact, when I was in my teens and practicing with Ginsoon, he modeled for me a very low stance where it was very much like a Shaolin horse stance that upon my own volition, I trained twice a day for 1 hour with an egg timer, sweating bullets, and standing as low as I possibly could. So when I share stories of what happened with Yang Zhendor or other encounters, and it appeared that my strength was so much more superior to theirs, it could really be chalked up to conditioning. We've just been through the Olympics, and you see the outstanding shape that these athletes are in. If they went out and hung out with their friends and played around in sport, it would be obvious that their conditioning and their strength and their reaction time and everything about their physical prowess was superior to the average person who simply doesn't have that training. Well, I trained to that degree of intensity through my teens and especially early 20s. That's when I went to Hong Kong to meet him. So I was in prime shape. To stand so low just simply builds the body in a way where it's impossible to build if you practice standing up high. So with respect to secret number 4, let's remember that in secret number 1, I had categorized the stance, forward, middle, and back, as position 1, 2, and 3. Well, here I'm going to address the level, how high you're standing, and we're going to call standing at the lowest level, level 1, standing halfway up as level 2, and standing up high as level 3. So now we can really get a complete picture of your presence as you stand in your Tai Chi posture, doing pushing hands or applications and so forth. The challenge is that I'm speaking to a very broad audience, different ages and levels of experience, but also degrees of shape that you may be in, depending on how much you've kept up your practice. And let's face it, the older we get, the busier we get, and the less likely it is that we're maintaining that rigor and regularity of that we had when we were younger, if indeed you did begin when you were younger. And when you begin when you're older, there's very little chance that you would have the energy to stand in level 1. So this is just the problematic aspect of introducing this topic, secret number 4. But let me just reassure you that in the Advanced Yang Tai Chi Corrections Pushing Hands and Applications training program, we resort to the learning strategies and problem solving offered by Advanced Human Training, which will enable you to seek the original source of the root and the repelling power from wherever your starting position. But we're going to have to talk about that later. Let's just nail down the technicalities of the 3 levels. A lot of the reference of what's found online refers to level 3, standing up. And I'd say that most pushing hands, even the rigorous ones, do it at level 2. The serious Chen practitioners going down to level 1. But you also see as they get older, they tend not to put out that kind of energy because, number one, it may not be good for the joints. And number 2, if they're mature practitioners, they've already got what they needed from that level 1 training when they were younger. And then as you get older, you don't need to do it anymore because the root has already been set. And that's what you find in so many of the demonstrations by accomplished teachers, where they're standing basically in level 3 position, the up position, demonstrating all their remarkable skills. So we need to take a developmental view of pushing hands here. And you need to honestly assess your situation in terms of your history and your current conditioning and interest in practice. Like I said, when you take part in the Advanced Yang Tai Chi Corrections pushing hands and applications, it's not going to matter so much because we have a particular strategy that will enable you to not have to go through that rigor that I went through as a teenager in early 20s. In my view, what's most important in your Tai Chi practice is that you experience the source of power. And it's my belief that it's possible for you to do that at any level if the conditions are right. And this is why I put so much emphasis on offering secret number 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's eventually going to be number 5, where we review the original yang way of pushing hands and other joint hand exercises, so that you can see the parallel between their particular way of doing it and their ability to garner that power. There's just an efficiency, there's a compactness that was, in my view, probably the original and the only way that it was done until it became popular. And then you see all these different styles, ways of pushing hands. Let's say the zhuang show, or the two-handed pushing hands. What you see demonstrated by comparison to the original is basically more loose, lacking rigor. And let me just leave it at that until we get to secret number 5. Secret number 4, we bring in secret number 1. And in the original yang practice, the result of all your training enables you to arrive at a posture that is position 1 and level 1 meeting. There's a very particular way that it's done in cooperation with your partner that we'll go into more in depth as each of these secrets is presented in separate workshops. So there's going to be 5 workshops based on the 5 secrets. And once you've completed those, then you can become part of a exclusive group that is dedicated to researching and creating for yourself your own way of pushing hands and applications that promises to be extremely exciting and fun. But I think just understanding in your mind what the standard is of position 1 and now level 1 meeting, you could understand how the qua and how one could train that area so that uprooting an opponent, which is the basis of repelling power, is a matter of course. And let me just say one more thing. Level 2, which encourages you to develop a team around you, and level 3, which may be the most abstract but focuses on cutting the ties that bind. That means to let go of old habits held in the body so that you can actually find that area in the hips and the waist area, especially, to free it up so that you can experience this original way. So everything's going to come together. It was important that I organize the pushing hand training in terms of these 5 elements so that not only will everyone be on the same page, but you'll all have the adequate inner and outer tools to transform yourself and experience the original power as Yang Shou possessed. Okay, I hope what I just shared gave you added insight into what you can possibly do with your practice. You can advance your practice no matter what stage of training or what age you're at. And if you like this video, please hit the like button add a comment and subscribe and share it with people who you think might be interested. This is Dr. Mike. I look forward to next time.